in all different tools. For example, let's say the customer requirement are being managed using the Cover Requirements Management tool. The functional requirements team are being managed in Requisite Pro. TFS is responsible for this code and the configuration management system. Quality Center is being used for test management and QTP for automation, and Jira for defect tracking. All these different tools are connected through the Cover Omnibus integration bus, thereby allowing data to transfer across all these different tools from one to the other, thereby providing a consolidated traceability, reporting, and dashboarding capabilities using the ALM Studio. Okay, so now let's see the flow in which I would flow through in this particular integration demo. So we have all this fibrant in the Cover Requirements Management System, and that particular data would be flowing into Requisite Pro for the system analyst people to enter functional requirements, at the same time the customer requirements to enter those requirements, and testers to study those with respect to the test cases. As the customer, the system analyst enters the functional requirements, and that flows back to the Cover ALM Studio. At the same time, the same functional requirement would also flow into Microsoft TFS for the developers to start writing codes based on that. And as they check in the files, that would again go back to the main reporting or the dashboarding tool, which is the Cover ALM. The next stage, the testing, as the testers get to write the test cases with respect to the customer requirements, those would be planned and executed, and based on the runs, the execution information would be flown back along with the traceability. And finally, if any defects are being created based on this testing, both manual as well as automation, maybe there is a separate team who's working on QTP, and whatever defects that's being raised, that would be flowing into Jira for the developers to track it and resolve it from the Jira tool. And finally, with the resolution of the defects, the defect that have been tracked in Quality Center would be reflected back, and at the same time that would also be updated to the main reporting tool. So now, with respect to this entire scenario, I would now demonstrate the actual flow with respect to the data, and will take you from one tool to the another. So let's start. So let me log into the Cover Requirements Management tool, which is actually a web-based tool, and it is completely accessible by a browser, which could be Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Chrome. You do not need any separate capability. You do not need any separate tool to check any code or functionalities with respect to this application. You can directly navigate and can do any kind of configuration administration from the browser itself. So let me log in as an analyst to enter a customer requirement in the system. So as Alan logs in Cover, there can be different landing pages for different sets of users. So as you can see, Alan has logged into a particular dashboard, which is consisting of different kinds of gadgets, and the gadgets could be of type reports, or could be some queries, could be some catalogs, and one such gadget is a catalog, and I can directly add a customer requirement from the dashboard itself. So let's say I add a customer requirement saying only registered users will be able to order products. So this is a customer requirement. Let's copy this. This is of type customer. So Cover allows you to define various kinds of fields for tracking various information. So let's say the author is Kevin Hanks, and let's go ahead and enter some description. So this is a rich text field wherein you can provide some rich text formatting features, and we enter the description and save this. Now as Alan saved this particular customer requirement, the inbuilt process engine of Coveware triggers and generates a task for the respective stakeholders as it is being configured in the system. So if we now go into the actual requirement stage, you will be seeing this particular requirement has already generated a task for the particular stakeholder. So here you can see this is the particular customer requirement, and it has Jeff Manager already assigned a task to review and link. Now as an end user, if you want to notice what is the particular process that's running on for this particular customer requirement, you can click on this link and get to see a visual diagram which shows the particular activities that are currently in progress, and based on the current stage, once those pending activities are being covered, the process moves on to the next stage based on the status or the values provided by the user as they're currently working on their task. So now as Jeff has got its task, so let me log in as Jeff and work on the task that he has been assigned to. So this is the dashboard of a manager. So since Jeff is a manager, so he has some high level information to track, and these are the different kinds of additional gadgets that he's looking into. And here you can see the task that he has been assigned. So let me click on this, get to the task, and this is the particular task that he has been assigned. As the manager, I would associate it to a particular program or the project, and thinking the requirement to be quite attractive, I set the status to approve. Save this. And once I'm done, I'll mark the task as complete. So as far as the reviewer job is concerned with respect to Jeff, he has done his job. And now, as per the Omnibus integration flow, this approved customer requirement should flow into Requisite Pro for the system analyst team to take it from there. Now, the dashboard and the information that are available are intelligent enough, so you can see once the particular task is completed by Jeff, that particular task is erased out of his plate and it's no more in the dashboard of Jeff. So now I'll go into the Requisite Pro tool and show you how the system analyst team look over there. But before going over there, I should again go into this process and show you that once Jeff has completed his job, his review and link activity is done, and the next set of activities are being highlighted, showing now it is the job of the architect and the tester to associate design elements and test cases. Okay, so I'll not go into the details of this process any further. We can integrate this process with any phases of SDLC at any point of time. And now I'll go into Requisite Pro to show you the customer requirement. So there's a different server where it could be the analyst team are working, it could be distributed geographically in a different location, and this is the particular project, and Mark is the system analyst. So here you can see the customer requirement has already arrived. The information are all available. You can see the same title, the description. Also, you can go into the attributes and see the status is also seen to be approved. Without wasting further time, I'll quickly go ahead and create a functional requirement. So let's say the functional requirements goes something like this. Let's say the registration page should accept the name and email ID of the users. A functional requirement with respect to the customer requirement that we entered. We enter some description also, and we save this. So now as it is available, we now go back into this customer requirement, open it up, go into its traceability, get to the to section and link it. So as far as the system analyst person is concerned, he has done his job. Now this particular functional requirement on submission would flow into the main reporting or the dashboarding tool, which is Cover. At the same time, it should flow into TFS as a work item for the developers to work on it. And additionally, the traceability information that we enter should also flow into QC, and at the same time would go into Cover ALM2. Okay. Now, as we are going into this Requisite Pro functional requirements management system, so let's close this and let me open up TFS for the developer to start working on it. So let's close this tool and open up TFS. So now I'm logging into the SCM tool as a developer, and I should see that particular requirement as a work item. I should now be able to see that particular functional requirement under the work items. So would go into the team queries, iteration 1, and should get to see that particular functional requirement. So here is the one. Requirement page should accept the name and the email ID of the users. The functional requirement entered from System Analyst team in the Requisite Pro tool is now available for the developers to start writing code on it. So let's quickly go to the Solution Explorer and let's create and check in some files from here. So let's go into the source control. So here is this code repository. Let's go over here and let's create a file. So as a developer, let's say I have written a code and here is the file. Let's say registration underscore page dot aspx. So really not in a mood to write some scripts right over here. So let's say scripts added. Save this. Close this. So now should add the file over here. Let's simple add, convert this to a TXT file. Some extensions needs to be set. Let's convert this to a TXT file. Okay. Going back to test, let's add the file. Here is it. Next, finish. And once the file is being added to the repository, we check in the pending changes. So once the file is being checked in, here is the work item, and this is the functional requirement that we should check, and let's associate this and check it. Now as we check in this file, a change set is internally created by TFS itself along with the file linked to the requirement should totally flow in back to the main reporting tool, which is the Cover ALM. Now, if I quickly go back into the Jeff dashboard, I can very well show you from here, there is a dashboard and a gadget that contains, and it would show that particular functional requirement. It's currently in the not covered stage. So here you can see this is still in the not covered stage, as because the code file that we checked in from TFS is yet to arrive into CodeFS. Now you want to see a magic? Let me refresh this, and I think I can see it in the covered stage now. 1, 2, 3, and here it goes. You can see the linked TFS files count is showing 1, and this is moved on to the other group showing it is in the covered stage. Okay, so since some magic, let's move on to the testing phase. Now the testing team working from another environment, so need to get into another server. So in this particular server I will get QC. So let's log into the server, and here let's open up the QC2. So it's taking a little bit of time, so please spare me. I'm connecting to a very remote server. So here is the QC tool. Let me log in as a tester, and the first thing that I'm supposed to show you are the customer requirement from Cover RM and the functional requirement from Requisite Pro are both have been inserted into the Quality Center tool for the testers for two different teams to write test cases with respect to this QC. Okay, so it's loading up. So that is it's taking a little bit of time. Just sorry about that. So loading all these ActiveX controls and all. Okay, so loaded up. Let me quickly log in. Log in as a tester, and I'm logging to the application. But prior to that, let me go back and show you that the customer requirement, it's currently in the not covered stage. You would feel the magic once again once we create the requirement coverage from QC, and this particular requirement should go back into the other group under the covered stage. So let me show you that. So going into the Quality Center environment, So here is the requirement section, and you can see both the requirements right from here. So both the requirements are getting shown to you. The top two are the ones which we entered from two different tools. Let me quickly go ahead and create a test plan. So create a new test plan. Let's say the test plan is, say, registration underscore page underscore TC. Okay. Let's say underscore email. So let's enter some description, and going into the design steps, let's ahead and create some two steps. So step is one is check for blank space. So expected result is should not allow any blanks. And the second is allow check special characters. Okay. So some description, and the expected result is should allow special characters. So these are the two test steps. Now in the process, we go ahead and link the customer requirement to the test case. So select requirement, here is the requirements action, and here is the customer requirement. So the requirement coverage is being established. Now at this particular moment, the relationship along with the information that we entered in the quality center should flow back into the main reporting tool Covare and would create a new test case, the traceability with the requirement along with the steps. Okay. Now as the plan is being created, let's go ahead and from the test lab module, let's execute this particular test case. To do that, we go ahead and create a new test set. So let's say registration page underscore test set. Include the test case that we created. And let's run this. So registration page tc underscore run. We begin the run, and based on this, based on our testing, probably the blank space one has passed, but there has been a bug, and we have seen that it does not allow any special character, so hence we fail it. In the process, we create a defect. So the defect goes something like this. Email field does not allow special characters. So it's detected by TED, it's urgent, its priority is very high, and here is the detection stage. That's UA testing. Injection stage, let's say coding, and based on this, We save this. We created the defect and we now stopping the run by clicking on this end run icon. So the execution part along with the quality center test management part is done. Now let's quickly shift over to the QTP mode, wherein the automation team is working and writing on some scripts over there. So I have a ready-made script. I have a ready-made script available. So this is not a server, it's another one. So here is my QTP tool, and I go ahead and create a new test case. So click new test. And what I'll do is I'll create a new test by using the existing script that I have. So let's say as a tester, I add the script, save. So let's say I save this using registration page automation script. Okay, save this. So once this particular test case is saved, it should insert the same test case in the reporting tool in the main dashboard reporting and using the Cover Omnibus service flow. So we execute this and we would be getting the results which we intend to transfer it to the main reporting tool for the management to get a consolidated visibility of both the manual as well as the automation part of both the test cases. Now as we are expecting this, we can go ahead and see that as the test execution is working through this particular script, this would yield a result which is either pass or fail. Now, based on the test result, Cover Omnibus integration bus would extract that particular result and would insert it in the main ALM tool. So the script is getting executed, and here is the result. So it has failed. Okay. Now let me go back and show you. Let me see whether this particular test case information is now available over here or not. So here you can see the customer requirement is now currently in the covered stage, which shows the linked test cases has arrived. So these are some of the metrics that which are coming, bringing in values, rolling up from different levels within the Cover LM tool and showing you the data at the topmost level from the dashboard. At the end of this entire scenario, I will show you how actually the data is getting pulled up to this dashboard level from the internal thing. So now let me tell you that our test case failed from QC. So at this moment, we created a defect and it should arrive in Jira with respect to this defect creation and as per as the service flow that has been defined. Okay, so the definition of defect with So as far as the definition in the service flow in Omnibus that's being defined, the defect is supposed to be here in Jira. So let's select the project, select the type, view it, and should be able to see this bug in Jira. So here is it. So we quickly select this one and update the status on resolution. So since we're running short of time, so quickly going through the process steps. So resolve this issue, and you can see all the information from QC has arrived and it's there in the description. So currently the resolution is fixed, and we click on resolve. So the defect is now resolved, and this should update the same defect at QC also. Okay. So that would take a little bit of time for the Omnibus to capture this particular event and show it in back to QC. In the meantime, let me take you through the navigation flow and give you some aspect of the traceability that's showing up over here. Okay. So these are the different entities that's already been there. Let me take you back to QC to show you the particular defect. So here you can see this particular defect is resolved in QC. So the scenario that we have tried to depict has worked exactly the way I depicted in the PowerPoint presentation. Now let me tell you how Cover ALM has reflected the whole thing from our ALM2. So what we do is, here is the requirements tab, and we go into the traceability to show the entire traceability chain from the one where we started from. So here is the traceability, and we started with this particular requirement 507. So let me filter out this page for better visibility. So here is the customer requirement that we started with, and we expand this, and you find there's a functional requirement is linked to the customer requirement on one side, the test case linked to it on the other. And since this particular test case is linked to the customer requirement, the moment it got linked, it showed in the covered stage. So it rolled up this value using a summary field information into the dashboard. Now as we go over here from the test case on the other end, we can also show you the requirement, the functional requirement, and it has the change set coming in from TFS and should also show in the file. So based on this traceability information that got automatically linked using the Cover Omnibus as well as the data coming in from different tools, we could reflect such high-level metrics from the dashboard and from the application. Finally, let me show you the last thing, that is the word report that you can generate on the fly from the Cover application using the entire scenario that I depicted from these different tools. So we have a word add-in by means of which you can create a template, you can generate it on the fly from the Cover application once you upload it. So here is the one. So it's a requirement traceability document. These were the different tools that's been associated with.